We are broadcasting live from the House Chamber of the State Capitol in Charleston, West Virginia, where Governor Bob Wise is at the podium and ready to begin his second State of the State address. Let's go to the Governor live.
These colors will be posted in the Governor's reception room as a daily reminder to all of us that our work continues under the protection of these brave men and women. To them and all of our soldiers and airmen and those who serve tonight, we thank you. Our freedom, the freedom we enjoy as Americans, is paid for by your courage. West Virginians and all Americans have been tested in the past year like never before. And West Virginians have always risen to the challenge, and this year was no different. With the help of God and the commitment and determination of the people of this great state, we met the tests that were placed in our path. We were tested by floodwaters. We were tested by terrorism. We were tested by fire, by the illegal dumping of steel, by out-of-control illegal gambling, by huge increases in prescription drug costs, and by the collapse of the medical malpractice insurance system. But by working together, this legislature has met those tests. This legislature has risen to the challenge, and through regular, and yes, a few special sessions, you resolutely acted on behalf of the people of West Virginia. This state is much better because of your efforts, and we thank you. We have been tested, and yet we continue to move West Virginia forward to make this state a better place to live. Make no mistake, our time of testing is not over. We will face difficult shortages because of budgetary shortages. The national economy is in recession. Our nation is at war. We believe that at least 40 states will not meet their budget estimates this year. Because we budgeted conservatively, West Virginia's budget is on target, but we are still facing some very tough times. Our rate of economic growth has been cut in half. More than ever before, we need sound fiscal management and innovative policies to avert financial hardship. The budget I'm presenting tonight is balanced, invests in our future, contains tax relief, and does not raise any taxes. We will face new hurdles in providing our children with the education they deserve. We will face new threats to our safety and security. And we will face new challenges in providing health care for all West Virginians. These are the tests that are thrust in front of us that can divert us from our determined path. But the ultimate test is yet before us, the test that truly measures us. And that is the test whether we have the courage to do what is necessary to make us what we desperately want to be. You and I want the same, to create good-paying jobs, to have an educational system second to none, to know we can get good health care, to be safe in our schools, in our churches, in our homes, in our workplaces, and above all, to bring our children and neighbors home from wherever they're living outside this state. Keep this vision in mind, because what I'm going to ask of you tonight will require new approaches. It will take sacrifice. We must be willing to invest, and we must be willing to think imaginatively. And above all, we must remember that saying, if we keep on doing what we've been doing, we're going to keep on getting what we got. Friends, we can get a lot more. We have much to do, but the first priority of government must be to protect the public safety. I want to recognize tonight the tremendous efforts of our firefighters, law enforcement, emergency workers, and our National Guard, all those people who protect us. But they can't do it alone. My budget will begin funding new classes of state police. Many counties are without the state police coverage they need, and we need more troopers to provide for the safety of 1.8 million people. Our police put their lives at risk for us each day. Just last Saturday night, I had the privilege of riding a shift with West Virginia State Troopers as they patrolled in southern West Virginia. These men and women give so much to us. It's time we give something back to them. In addition to addressing the manpower shortages in the state police, I have presented a bill tonight that assures that equal benefits are to be paid to survivors of state police officers killed in the line of duty. This is only the first step, not the final step. We must do much more, and I am committed to that and to working with you to assist our state troopers. The National Guard has been outstanding with their service over the past year. Under the leadership of General Alan Tackett, the men and women who serve us and keep us safe are also important members of our families, our communities, our businesses, our churches across this state. As we salute those who have been called to active duty, let us also honor and remember their families. They would have us remember their families. This legislation took action last year to preserve the benefits for those families, and for that I thank you. I'd also like you to welcome, and I have been asked for security reasons only to give her first name, I'd like you to welcome Patricia, whose husband is on active duty tonight somewhere in this world with the National Guard, their daughter Mackenzie, and his mother Susan, who represent the hundreds of families who pray with us for the safe return of a service member. Patricia, Mackenzie, and Susan, would you please stand and let us recognize you and all the National Guard families. I also thank the employers across the state who saw key members of their businesses called away over and over to fight the floods, the fires, and now to fight the terrorist attacks on the United States. These employers make it possible for our citizen soldiers to defend our communities and our nation. The National Guard is critical to the safety and security of our people, which is why my budget will also include building the new armories and other National Guard facilities so necessary across West Virginia. From the horrors of September the 11th, we have all been asked, what can I do to help? That's why we're forming West Virginia Watch, a volunteer organization of citizens who will assist law enforcement officials in safeguarding our people, our transportation, our industrial facilities, and our natural resources. Now we can all pitch in to help. Last year, we came together to begin the process of changing our economy. That task is even more urgent today as we face a national recession and the threat of more plant closings and job losses. I know that a lot of West Virginia families are struggling to make ends meet. We can help. by giving them a break on one large annual expense. Every year, families across West Virginia scrape together money to pay for back-to-school shopping trips. Tonight, I'm submitting legislation to provide a sales tax holiday on school supplies and clothing for 3 days before kids go back to school in August. This will provide badly needed relief for our families and send a signal that we not only hear you, we're also here to help. But the biggest help for any family is a good-paying job. We need to continue our focus on long-term strategies to attract and keep good jobs in West Virginia. And this year, I have asked Paul Arbogast, the chairman of the Business Roundtable, and Jim Bowen, the president of the AFL-CIO, to work together to help us identify and resolve the issues that hold West Virginia back. They're sitting together back here, and they have agreed. This effort will benefit both business and labor, and all of us, as we compete in the global marketplace. And this new climate in West Virginia has not gone unnoticed. We've attracted new investment and new interest. One business leader brought a totally new type of enterprise to West Virginia. Orrick, Harrington, and Sutcliffe, an international law firm based in San Francisco, needed a global operations center. Ralph Baxter, Jr., the chairman and CEO, searched the country for an appropriate site, and he found it in his native state of West Virginia. What he found in West Virginia was the ideal combination of hardworking, skilled people and resources to accomplish his mission. His company is investing $10 million to create 250 high-paying jobs. Please join me in welcoming home a native son and his wife Cheryl, and thank him for believing in West Virginia's future. Ralph and Cheryl, will you please? Ralph's home may now be in San Francisco, but he has agreed to continue working for his native state, and he will head a new group called the Governor's Ambassador Council, made up of business leaders like Ralph from across the country who have strong connections to West Virginia. This council will advise the state on strategic issues, make sure that our strengths are known to business decision makers, and give us objective external reviews of our business policies. We'll also look to this council to help develop a plan to encourage talented young people to stay in West Virginia or move here from other states. Over and over, mothers and fathers tell me about their heartache whenever a young person senses that his or her hometown has limited opportunity and that they must move away in order to find success. Tight-knit families are pulled apart. Children and grandchildren slip away from the nurturing communities that make West Virginia such a special place to live. I want to bring these people home and to keep our children here. Let me tell you about one success story where 3 young West Virginia natives, with the help of the West Virginia Jobs Investment Trust, started a software company called 3wide.com. This .com is doing very well, and they're earning rave reviews and customers with their new software for real estate transactions. But many of their classmates have left, and we have to change that. In the 1860s, the federal government encouraged homesteading by offering land to people to locate in a certain area. The times have changed, but not necessarily the concept. So as we recruit businesses, let us also recruit our people as well. We can start right now. We can begin by providing a tax credit that helps people pay off student loans so that new graduates will be encouraged to stay or to move here. We must welcome new families with open arms, not punish them with unexpected fees. And this year we must finally eliminate the expensive transfer fee on personal vehicles brought to West Virginia by new residents. Incentives alone won't bring people back. You and I know that. What will bring them back is a vibrant economy, a place where private investors are willing to take risks and create jobs. It's time to take some strategic steps that will start the process. In this budget, I have included $3 million for the Sunny Day Fund to give us the financial flexibility to attract new businesses and create new jobs. Our neighboring states already have this. To be competitive, we need it too. We must draw in venture capital to encourage entrepreneurship and create jobs. At my direction, the West Virginia Investment Management Board is ready to move forward with a $25 million plan that will attract $75 million more in federal funds for a total of $100 million in new investment capability for businesses in West Virginia, and I am asking you to approve that legislation to make this happen. I am directing the West Virginia Development Office to create a small business ombudsman to assist any small business that wants to stay, wants to grow, wants to take advantage of the opportunities that West Virginia offers. We must also support communities that take bold steps to reinvent their economies. That's why we're going to support the Wheeling Victorian Outlet Center, a public-private partnership that will result in the renovation and rehabilitation of more than 100 historic buildings in the heart of the city of Wheeling, and the creation of a new shopping destination that will generate hundreds of jobs. We must help working people adapt to change. We're already offering workforce training to 1,000 current employees of businesses that believe they can profit from a better educated workforce. And because we've streamlined our bureaucracy and developed a new workforce investment plan, I am announcing tonight that the United States Department of Labor has selected West Virginia to participate in a pilot project that will be a model for other states. Additionally, we must join the 46 states that allow local governments to attract private investment in their communities through tax increment financing. It's a simple idea. For a limited time, pledge the additional local taxes that arise from new development toward the investments that make that growth possible. Working with business and labor, we'll have a new way to create jobs. A year ago, doesn't seem that long, does it? A year ago, or maybe it does, I promised a top-to-bottom review of the various tax incentives that have been developed for businesses over the past several decades. This first-ever review is complete. We must eliminate 11 tax credit programs that have been proven ineffective, including the super tax credit, an accountant's super nightmare. This super credit has a 16-page application form and a minimum requirement of 50 jobs that shuts the door on small business. Tonight, I'm asking you to replace the unproductive incentives with 4 new tax credits for economic opportunity, manufacturing, electric generation, and research and development. We will make these programs simpler and easier for businesses to use, and more accessible to small employers who are the backbone of so many communities. This is that 16-page application I told you about. Pass my legislation, and we replace this 16-page application with this new 1-page form. We have never had a serious effort in West Virginia to encourage research and development. This too must change. In addition to our new tax credit for research, I propose a sales tax exemption for research and development activity. This will instantly cut the material costs of West Virginia researchers by 6%. I also am pleased to report tonight that this budget will provide funding to match a $9 million grant from the National Science Foundation to support biomolecular science and information technology research efforts at Marshall University and West Virginia University. Working together last year, you and I included the first money for research in higher education in a long time. We will increase the higher education research budget tonight by 250%. And the real result of all this investment comes when private enterprise enters the picture. I'm also pleased to announce tonight that the Verizon Corporation has committed $200,000 towards biometrics research and development in West Virginia. It just gets better. In addition, a new biotechnology company, Protea, has been established to take advantage of the expertise of West Virginia University researchers. It is already creating a buzz and jobs in the biotech world, and the word is that the next great center of growth for this industry may well be in West Virginia. This enterprise, because of the vision and entrepreneurship of the people who formed it, is leading West Virginia into a whole new area of high-paying jobs. But that's not what is most important about what this company does. This company will take ideas out of the laboratory and convert them to products that significantly improve people's lives. West Virginia is going to give the world new treatments for cancer and other diseases based on scientific developments at our universities. I ask you to please welcome Stephen Turner, the man behind Protea and the leader of West Virginia's biotech revolution. After last year's devastating floods, many business people across southern West Virginia were pondering their futures. Could they? Should they rebuild? Was there a future for small business there? In Mullins, immediately following the flood, I visited the flower shop run by Lena Jo Bowling. It was a mess, totally wiped out, but she was determined to rebuild. But she felt, as did so many other business people did, that she could not pile more debt upon what she already owed. In working together, we created new tools for hardworking people like Ms. Bowling. Our forgivable loan program, our microloan program, and our decision to release state surplus furniture to flood-stricken businesses helped dozens of enterprises get their doors open again. We didn't do it. We provided the tools. It was the people of southern West Virginia that took these tools and made them work with their determination and spirit. Today, that flower shop and many others like it are back in business. I know. I did much of my Christmas shopping there and in several other businesses in Mullins. Mrs. Bowling, your courage in reopening that store is making Mullins a vibrant community again and is an inspiration to our state. And I would ask you to stand and take the recognition you so richly deserve for speaking for so many southern West Virginians. And incidentally, Lena Jo, my sisters love the flower displays we sent them. Because of the resilience and perseverance of our people, Her story is being repeated in town after town. On behalf of the Lena Jo Bowlings and those like her, I want to thank this legislature for having the confidence to commit $43 million in funds towards rebuilding housing and small businesses. That investment is beginning to pay off. And in southern West Virginia, we are at an important juncture. We must set a new course for the region that builds on the strength of its natural resources and plan for a new economy. To chart this course, I am announcing the creation of the West Virginia Recovery and Investment Strategy Enterprise, West Virginia RISE. West Virginia RISE will tie together the existing infrastructure with future investments throughout the region by both the public and the private sectors. It will address housing, economic development, infrastructure, and land use planning, and will incorporate the ongoing work of the Regional Task Force already addressing long-term flood prevention. By the next State of the State address, West Virginia RISE will provide this body and citizens of southern West Virginia with a roadmap to a much brighter future. We will do much of that, incidentally, through something that this legislature created, the Coalfield Development Office. It was created for that purpose, and we will rise with that office. And while we expand into new economic areas, we must maintain our strong base of mining and manufacturing. West Virginia is a world leader in energy supplies and creates raw materials for construction and industry across the country. The Ohio Valley is threatened by a flood of imported steel just as dangerous to that region's economy as last summer's floods were to the economy of southern West Virginia. Last year, this legislature approved $1 million in funding to assist our steel industry in adopting new technology and developing new products, and we have put it to work. Our commitment to the steel industry spoke loudly in Washington, as did the unanimous support of labor, management, and community leaders in spurring the federal government to take action against steel dumping. Just a few weeks ago, I traveled to Washington to make the case for steel personally to the United States Secretary of Commerce. Now I have to talk to you again for a moment, because things are happening in the Ohio Valley, and I may have to come back to you and ask for your immediate support. As you well know, the steel industry is in a state of short-term liquidity, cash flow problems. A number of our companies in this country are facing those problems. Some have already gone under, LTV, for instance. Weirton Steel and Wheeling Pitt are struggling tonight. Each has its own unique situation. During the last 6 weeks, I've been on the phone and in negotiations constantly, working with Wheeling Pitt Steel to avert their short-term situation. Extraordinary times call for extraordinary remedies. That's why I asked you to keep that sense of vision in mind. Tonight, the steel industry in Wheeling Pitt is facing a challenge. I want you to know that as governor of the state, I have, in negotiations with all the major partners involved, Wheeling Pitt, its parent company, other business groups, Governor Taft of Ohio, I have committed this state to $5 million, if that will help provide the means to keep this company operating so that it gets through the short-term crisis and it can get to the longer-term area where it begins to make money. Additionally, others have stepped forward, including the state of Ohio. I say this because this commitment is there from the state of West Virginia. We wait now to see what others will do that are involved in these negotiations. Our commitment is strong and solid to the Ohio Valley and to Wheeling Pitt and to the men and women who work there. And I ask the others involved in these negotiations to remember that we're not talking just about 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months. We're talking about a way of life. We're talking about 3,500 families with good-paying jobs. We're talking about a culture. We're talking about an entire region of our state and country, the Ohio Valley, on both sides of the river. We're talking about the ability of a region to move forward. We're talking about small businesses that may not be related to steel, but they sure sell a lot of products, whether it's food or clothes or whatever, to the men and women who work there. We are talking about a total way of life in West Virginia and Ohio and this part of the country. And that is why we stand ready, and I will come to you if I need to on a moment's notice. But we stand ready to stand with the men and women of Wheeling, Pitt, and Weirton and all those areas. And for those who are watching tonight, all wherever you are in the Ohio Valley, I hope you just saw this expression, West Virginia stands with you. We remain committed as well to a thriving energy industry. Our State Energy Task Force is developing a statewide energy plan to provide a direction for research, for policy, for environmental protection, and for new production techniques. We took great strides in the past year towards responsible environmental protection. And the vast majority of West Virginians have reached the realization that none of our dreams, a clean environment, a healthy economy, a place where our children will want to live, is possible without us all working together. One thing we cannot allow to continue, however, is the dreadful human cost of coal mining. 13 times last year, and once already this year, a family lost a father or a brother or a son mining coal in West Virginia. This budget contains an additional $1 million, a 25% increase, to strengthen the state's coal mine safety agency. These funds will improve our ability to work with coal miners to improve safety and training, and our ability to effectively inspect and enforce safety standards. This is long overdue. I am also introducing a bill that will change the present penalty system. No longer will serious mining violations be less expensive than a parking ticket. There is another major development for the coal mining industry. I am pleased to report that earlier today, my administration reached an agreement to settle most of the issues in a long-running court dispute over who would be responsible for the unpaid workers' compensation premiums of coal mining contractors. A total of nearly $50 million will be paid to the state by the coal companies who were ultimately responsible for those debts. One-fifth of that sum will be paid immediately. The rest will provide a steady stream of income over the next 10 years. This is money that may help us retire some of the unfunded liability of the workers' compensation system, and I would urge us to look at some of the opportunities there. It's also money that won't have to come from the pockets of other businesses that have paid their premiums on time. And we are still willing to talk with the other companies that have not settled, that owe debts to the Workers' Compensation Fund. The court cases that led to this settlement began years ago and were kept alive in court thanks to the affiliated construction trades unions. When my administration came into office, we joined the battle to collect those premiums. We owe ACT thanks for their efforts tonight. Stewardship of the land is one of our responsibilities as citizens and as leaders of government. And one of our goals must be the protection of the special places held dear by our citizens. For generations, we have enjoyed the beauty of the Blackwater Canyon. Earlier today, the president of Allegheny Power, Jay Pfeiffer, signed an agreement in my office to sell 250 acres in the Blackwater Canyon to the state of West Virginia and to donate an additional 250 acres for a total of 500. This land includes the last mile of unprotected river between the town of Davis and the Blackwater Canyon. And we have, by this act, permanently guaranteed public access to this land for recreation. I would like to extend my personal thanks to Mr. Piper and ask that you join me in thanking him and his company for their efforts. As we develop a more diversified economy, we also must welcome new people and new ideas to West Virginia. In 2001, for the first time, the number of trips visitors made to West Virginia topped 21 million. We hosted the World's Rafting Championships, created a motorsports council, and developed a tourism database and website that is helping thousands of people find the exact vacation experience that they are seeking right here in wild, wonderful West Virginia. And transportation is vital, not just to tourism, but to all types of economic activity. We're developing the infrastructure to serve more tourists and business travelers all over West Virginia. We will spend $575 million this year in state and federal funds to build new roads and upgrade existing roads throughout the state. And we're going to finish building Corridor H and continue building Corridor D. And the Coalfields Expressway and the King Coal Highway and Route 9, West Virginia 10, West Virginia Route 2, and US 35. Two weeks ago, I visited Senator Byrd and the congressional delegation and assured them that we are committed to providing matching money for every dollar of federal highway funds they so ably send our way. But you know, the most important thing we do is to make sure that we give our children the best education they can receive. Education is economic development. Our schools are improving every day. I visited with hundreds of students and teachers and school service personnel in the past year. We have some inspired kids out there, and we have some very inspiring teachers. Our school service personnel work hard, completing that educational experience. Our students are scoring better than ever before on standardized tests. They're contributing to their communities and preparing themselves for college, for vocational training, and for life. Thanks to this legislature, our top high school seniors this year are filling out the first set of applications for the Promise Scholarship. And I want to remind parents and students and teachers that the deadline for filling out the Promise application and filing it with a high school guidance counselor is January 31st, the end of this month. And if you work hard, play by the rules, and you're a qualified student, the law in the state of West Virginia is now you will earn a Promise Scholarship to any West Virginia institution of higher education, public or private, 2-year or 4-year. We are building new state-of-the-art schools for communities across West Virginia. We're also making sure schools are safe, including operating a 24-hour-a-day, toll-free safety helpline. And every county now has a mandate to provide character education that, besides teaching the regular 3 R's, teaches 2 more: responsibility and respect. Preparation for learning starts at the earliest ages. That's a lesson my wife Sandy and I learned when we became parents. And she's been traveling the state, talking with new parents about the importance of reading to their children with the Love to Learn program. Early learning is critical, And that is why this budget will include funds to advance the EduCare program to coordinate and promote preschool activities for 4-year-olds. Now let's speak frankly. There is one area where our schools are behind other states, and it's in the amount of time our students actually spend in the classroom. I am proposing that all students spend 180 days each year in the classroom. Not all counties meet this minimum standard. This must change. We can't teach our kids if they're not in the classroom. Our college-going rate is higher than ever before, but still less than the nation as a whole. One way to reverse this is to get students to begin thinking about college earlier so that they get the preparation they need. Former Governor Gaston Caperton, the president of the College Board now, has asked West Virginia to join with 3 other states in a model program to encourage public school students to start thinking about college in the 7th grade. We will fund this worthwhile effort. Last year, 31 additional West Virginia teachers earned National Board certification, the teaching profession's highest credential, and this doubled the number of nationally certified teachers in the state. This legislature deserves credit for providing additional incentives for teachers to meet this high standard. And our business community recognizes the value of good teachers as well. That's why this year's Teacher of the Year, Jeannie Gren of Woodburn Elementary in Monongalia County, will drive away tonight with a brand new Toyota, thanks to Toyota Motors, and $5,000 from Mountain State Blue Cross Blue Shield. Jeannie, would you please stand as we thank you and all of the teachers. We thank you for the difference you're making in our children's lives. You know, I'm reminded of that old Toyota advertising slogan, which applies to you as well. We thank you for what you're doing for us. In a time of national recession and a time of war, our state budget simply cannot be stretched to accommodate what our teachers truly deserve. But thanks to all the efforts of our state agencies in restraining costs, and with some amount of effort, we know we have an obligation. And so we have been able to provide a pay raise and a change in the longevity schedule that will raise teacher pay this year by an average of $1,200. This builds on the progress we began last year when we added $1,000 to teacher salaries and 5 years to the longevity schedule to encourage our most experienced teachers to remain in the classroom. Our higher education system is also faced with new opportunities and challenges. The number of students increased by 3%. More than 78,000 West Virginians are now earning college credit at our public colleges and universities. We are challenging our post-secondary institutions to provide these students with an even better education. We're coordinating policies among all levels of education to assure better prepared students. We're introducing legislation to partner with the private sector to attract and to keep outstanding faculty. And we are demanding higher standards and measurable achievements from both students and educators. This year, we must strengthen our community college system and better define its role. We must stabilize their budgets, limit tuition increases, provide free or reduced community college tuition, to people working to get off the welfare rolls. And my proposals will do just that. Our colleges must expand educational opportunities at non-traditional locations. We're going to begin that process right now and right here. I'm announcing tonight that we will begin holding classes here at the state capitol and elsewhere to enhance the career ladder for working people. Working together, we've done a lot for the health of our people this year. We've told thousands of parents about the Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, on TV, on radio, on the Internet. Hundreds of volunteers went door to door with me to spread the word. We found 10,000 more children who qualified for CHIP or Medicaid. Our goal, along with that of Senator Jay Rockefeller, who led the fight for CHIP in Washington, is to make sure that every child in West Virginia has access to health care. Additionally, the prescription drug benefit, now available with the Golden Mountaineer discount card, has saved $500,000 in the first 3 months for senior citizens for an average of 17%. A recent study showed that this is one of the most successful drug discount programs in the nation. The next time you're in one of the 300 pharmacies that participate in the Golden Mountaineer card, thank them for what they do to give you an instant discount. This is the Golden Mountaineer card. And while I have your attention, if you are age 60 or over and have not yet received your free Golden Mountaineer discount card with the prescription drug discount benefit on the back, I urge you to call the Bureau of Senior Services. You may well be eligible for reductions in the price that you're paying for prescription drugs. West Virginia is leading other states as well in seeking to reduce costs for medicine purchased by state agencies, such as the Public Employees Insurance Agency. Our multi-state buying pool is well on the way to completion and has drawn interest from small and large states. We have made progress, but must make some changes if we are to help West Virginians be as healthy as they can be. We will begin a new advertising campaign created with the help of young people to combat the tobacco industry's efforts to attract more youthful users. To assure that, we must make sure also that we will have the funds in future years to meet the health care needs of West Virginians. I will introduce legislation to go into the financial marketplace to lock in the benefits from the tobacco lawsuits. And for our veterans, within the next 30 days, we will issue a request for proposal for the construction of the urgently needed new West Virginia Veterans Nursing Home. I will introduce legislation to reduce the blood alcohol limit to 0.08 so that we can remove impaired drivers from the road. And I will introduce legislation so that people who are stricken with mental illness are provided the same health coverage as people with physical illnesses or injuries. One of the crucial issues that confronts us is how we can continue to assist people who are making the transition from welfare to work. For several years, West Virginia enjoyed the benefits of a surplus in federal temporary aid to needy families, or TANF. That surplus is now gone. And while we continue to receive federal help, we cannot spend dollars we do not have. The TANF Advisory Panel made some very difficult choices and challenged us to find new state funds to begin to fill the gap created by the TANF shortfall. Because of savings identified elsewhere, I have included $20 million in new general revenue funds to support these essential programs. Let me talk about one of these programs. We depend on families to care for our children who are the most vulnerable, the children who may, through no fault of their own, find themselves without loving parents. It is in this situation that foster parents open their homes and their hearts to children who need a lot of love. Some of our most caring citizens serve as foster parents. The $20 million I have allocated in the budget will help protect those foster children. I urge you to make this appropriation a priority and help give families a chance to help these children. Now I want to take a moment to express the thanks of all West Virginians for the services provided this past year by our state, our city, and our county public employees. Time and time again, they were there to help when the need was greatest. Our highway workers who doubled as security personnel after September the 11th, keeping a 24-hour watch on critical roads and bridges. Our forestry staff who fought fires on long shifts and were away from home and family for days on end. Our social workers who dealt with people and families in crisis after crisis. State employees also worked hard this year to make each citizen's everyday encounters with government more efficient and more pleasant. They are making a difference, and we are committed to a customer service orientation in every department. Our state employees are not paid well enough for the work they do. This needs to change. This year, despite the tough budget times, I'm asking you to provide an $804 across-the-board pay raise for all state employees. And for the first time, we must remove the 20-year cap on increment pay and provide $50 for each additional year of service. And we must finally end this debate over the unfunded pension obligations of the state government and establish a secure method of financing this debt. We have also integrated the Internet into the fabric of our work, making it possible for citizens to obtain many services 24 hours a day. This year, for the first time, I was able to get my hunting license online. I actually wish I'd been able to sight my rifle in online and save 5 stitches. You can reserve a spot at a vacation resort, or you can buy a NASCAR license plate online now. And this is just the beginning. It's an example of how this administration is committing to using technology to make government more accessible. I would like to present the budget and the legislative package I've outlined tonight to the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House. Now, you may remember that last year I handed each of them a foot-thick notebook. This year, these documents are on CDs. And they will also be available to each member of the legislature and to interested citizens. And just so you know, it's a 2-set CD, and I'm sure you can find it in every record and disc CD store soon. Right next to Whitney Houston and U2. In meeting the tests we faced last year, West Virginians showed their strength as they banded together to recover from floods, to fight fires, and to guard us against terrorism. And despite all of that, all that we faced, we are better off than a year ago. More students are in college, More children have health care. Senior citizens have new protection. Businesses have invested in our culture. We pushed forward on the clear agenda that the people of West Virginia demanded. We could not have done this without the thousands of West Virginia citizens who dedicate themselves to service. National Guard soldiers, disaster volunteers from dozens of nonprofit groups, the teachers, the school service personnel, the police, the firefighters, the public employees, the religious leaders, the community leaders, the church members. I've introduced a lot of people to you tonight and asked you to recognize them. They are the face of West Virginia. West Virginia is at its best when we work together, committed to a common cause and strengthened by our shared resolve. And our challenge now, our great test, is to have the courage to do what's right for our people, our state, and our future, so that every West Virginian can find that good-paying job, every family can find and have affordable quality health care, and every child will get the education that teaches them the skills and the values they need to succeed. And most importantly, so that every West Virginian will find the opportunities they are seeking right here at home. We stand together tonight as West Virginians and Americans, proud of our accomplishments, challenged by our circumstances, and confident in our future. We will continue to work towards that future, the future our children deserve, and we shall prevail. And we shall conduct ourselves so that God will bless the state of West Virginia and the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for speaking. Thanks for coming.
The governor has just completed his second State of the State address. Governor Bob